I'm going to tell you about a mistake I made for 3 years. A mistake that cost me clearer vision, sharper mornings, and probably delayed the regression of my cataracts by months, maybe years. I was doing what everyone told me to do. I was eating blueberries every single morning, a bowl of fresh berries in my granola, sometimes frozen ones in a smoothie. I'd read all the articles about antioxidants and eye health. Blueberries were supposed to be the miracle food for aging eyes, and they helped a little. My ophthalmologist said my cataracts weren't progressing as fast as expected for my age. That was good news, but they were still progressing. Grade 2 in both eyes at 70 years old, slowly creeping toward grade 3, slowly stealing my vision. Then I met Jack. He's a retired ophthalmologist, originally from Norway, who moved to my town 5 years ago. We got to talking at the local YMCA, and when I mentioned my cataracts and my daily blueberry ritual, he smiled. Not a condescending smile, more like the smile of someone who's about to share a secret that changes everything. He said one word, bilberries. I'd never heard of them. Turns out most Americans haven't, but in Europe, particularly Scandinavia, bilberries have been used for vision health for centuries. They look similar to blueberries, small, round, dark. But when you cut one open, the difference is unmistakable. A blueberry has light green or white flesh inside. A bilberry is deep purple all the way through. That deep purple color is the key. It comes from compounds called anthocyanins, and bilberries have up to 5 times more anthocyanins than regular blueberries. 5 times. Jack explained that during World War II, British Royal Air Force pilots reported better night vision after eating bilberry jam. That anecdotal evidence led to decades of research, and what researchers found was remarkable. Anthocyanins don't just act as general antioxidants. They specifically target the proteins in your eye lens that become damaged and clump together to form cataracts. They help prevent the denaturing of crystalline proteins. They support the mechanisms that refold damaged proteins before they aggregate. And they activate cleanup systems that remove proteins too damaged to save. But here's what really shocked me. Jack pulled out a study published in 2024, over 36,000 women tracked for years. The researchers found that higher intake of blueberries and anthocyanins showed a modest but significant inverse association with cataracts, a 10% reduction in the upper intake groups, 10% from blueberries. Imagine what 5 times the anthocyanin concentration could do. I asked Jack why no one talks about this in the United States. Why every health article screams about blueberries, but bilberries are virtually unknown here, he laughed. Marketing, he said. Blueberries are a massive commercial crop in North America. Bilberries grow wild in European forests and are harder to cultivate commercially. There's no big agricultural lobby pushing bilberries, no marketing budget, no celebrity endorsements, but the science doesn't care about marketing, and neither do your eyes. I started searching for bilberries the next day. Fresh ones are nearly impossible to find in the United States unless you live near gourmet import stores. But bilberry extract, powder, and freeze-dried berries are available online. I ordered bilberry powder and started adding it to my morning routine, 1 tablespoon of bilberry powder in water or a smoothie every single day. I kept everything else the same diet, same exercise, same sleep schedule. I just swapped my blueberries for bilberries. The first 2 weeks nothing changed. I wasn't expecting instant results. Cellular repair takes time. But around week 3, I noticed something. My vision when I first woke up was clearer. Not dramatically, not like flipping a switch, but that foggy, hazy quality that usually took 30 minutes to clear after waking up started fading faster. By week 6, my spouse commented that I wasn't squinting at the newspaper as much in the morning. They were right. I hadn't noticed it consciously, but the strain was less. Reading was easier. At my 3-month follow-up appointment, my ophthalmologist did a slit lamp exam. He paused, looked again, asked me if I'd changed anything about my routine. I told him about the bilberries. He was skeptical, as doctors often are about anything that doesn't come from a prescription pad. But he couldn't argue with what he was seeing. The density of my cataracts had decreased slightly in my left eye, not enough to change the grade, but measurable. And in my right eye, which had been worse, there was no progression. For someone my age, no progression over 3 months is actually regression relative to expected decline. I'm not telling you this to claim bilberries are a miracle cure. They're not. Cataracts are complex. Genetics, oxidative stress, UV exposure, inflammation, blood sugar levels all play roles. But what I am telling you is that if you're going to eat berries for eye health, and you should, you need to know that not all berries are created equal. The anthocyanin content matters enormously, and bilberries deliver anthocyanins in concentrations that blueberries simply cannot match. Let me explain exactly why this works, because once you understand the mechanism, it makes perfect sense. Your eye lens is mostly water and proteins called crystallins. These proteins are arranged in a very specific structure that keeps the lens transparent. When you're young, your cells have robust systems to maintain these proteins. Chaperone molecules keep them properly folded. Antioxidants neutralize free radicals before they cause damage. Cleanup systems remove any proteins that get damaged, but after age 60, all of these protective systems decline. Free radicals accumulate. Proteins get damaged faster than they can be repaired or removed. Damaged proteins start to unfold and clump together. Those clumps scatter light instead of letting it pass through cleanly. That's what creates the cloudiness of cataracts. Anthocyanins work at multiple levels to interrupt this process. First, they're powerful antioxidants. They neutralize free radicals before those free radicals can damage your crystalline proteins. Think of it as putting out small fires before they become a forest fire. Second, anthocyanins have been shown in laboratory studies to actually help stabilize protein structures. They can prevent proteins from unfolding in the first place. This is huge. If the proteins don't unfold, they don't clump. If they don't clump, you don't get cataracts. Third, anthocyanins reduce inflammation. Chronic low-grade inflammation accelerates cataract formation. By reducing inflammatory signaling in your eye tissues, anthocyanins effectively slow down the entire degenerative process. Fourth, and this is fascinating, anthocyanins enhance blood flow to your eyes. They fortify those tiny capillaries. Improved blood flow translates to enhanced nutrient delivery and more efficient waste removal. While your lens lacks blood vessels, it crucially depends on the surrounding fluid, which is supplied by those capillaries. Healthier capillaries mean a healthier lens environment. All of this is backed by published research, and not just in test tubes. We're talking about animal studies and human observational studies, like that massive 2024 research project involving over 36,000 participants. Years ago, a Russian study explored the effects of bilberry extract on rats that were specifically bred to develop cataracts prematurely. The rats that received bilberry extract showed significantly slower cataract development compared to the control group. Their lenses remained clearer for a longer period. A Japanese study delved into bilberry anthocyanins, examining their impact on lens epithelial cells. These are the very cells responsible for maintaining lens clarity. The anthocyanins shielded these cells from oxidative stress and aided them in maintaining their critical function. In humans, Numerous studies have consistently demonstrated that individuals consuming higher quantities of anthocyanins exhibit lower rates of cataract surgery. This consistent association spans across diverse populations and a variety of study designs. Now, you might be thinking, okay, if anthocyanins are so important, why not just take an anthocyanin supplement? And you can. There are bilberry extract capsules available that provide standardized amounts of anthocyanins. Some people prefer that route, but let me explain why I personally opt for the whole berry powder rather than isolated extracts. Bilberries aren't just about anthocyanins. They're a powerhouse of nutrients packed with vitamin C, vitamin E, vitamin A, quercetin, and a whole host of other phytonutrients. These compounds work together, synergistically. Vitamin C aids in regenerating vitamin E. Quercetin boosts the absorption of anthocyanins. The fiber in the berry powder slows down absorption, giving you a steady release, instead of a sudden spike. When you isolate only the anthocyanins, you lose that crucial synergy. You end up with one active compound, instead of a complex orchestra of nutrients, working in perfect harmony. Nature designed these berries as complete packages, and I prefer to use them that way. That said, if you can get your hands on fresh or frozen bilberries, even better. The whole berry, minimally processed, will always be superior to any extract or powder. However, fresh bilberries are quite rare here in the United States. Frozen European bilberries can sometimes be found online or in gourmet import stores. They are more expensive than blueberries, but remember, you need far less to get the same anthocyanin dose. A quarter cup of bilberries offers roughly the same anthocyanin content as a full cup of blueberries. So, while the cost per ounce is higher, the cost per effective dose is actually quite comparable. I personally use bilberry powder because it's shelf-stable, easy to store, and available year-round. 1 tablespoon of high-quality bilberry powder gives me the equivalent of about half a cup of fresh bilberries. I mix it into a glass of water or a smoothie every morning. It has a slightly tart, earthy flavor. Some people mix it with a bit of honey or add it to their yogurt. The key is consistency. Just like with any nutritional intervention, you won't see results if you do it sporadically, every single day. No skipping. Your eyes are under oxidative assault every single day. You need that anthocyanin protection every single day. Here's what you can realistically expect if you make bilberries a daily part of your routine. Week 1 to 2, probably no noticeable vision changes. You're building up anthocyanin levels in your tissues. The compounds are starting to circulate, starting to exert their protective effects, but it takes time to accumulate. Week 3 to 4. This is when many people, including myself, first notice subtle improvements. Morning vision might clear faster, eyes might feel less strained after reading or screen time. These aren't dramatic changes. You might not even notice them, unless you're paying attention. But they're the first signs that something is working. Week 6 to 8, subjective improvements become more obvious. Reading feels easier. Night vision might improve slightly. Glare from headlights might be less bothersome. The halos around lights that many cataract patients experience might shrink or fade. 3 months. This is the crucial window for objective measurements. If you get an eye exam at 3 months, there's a reasonable chance your ophthalmologist will note that your cataracts have stabilized or even regressed slightly. The cloudiness might be less dense, the lens might be clearer in certain zones. 6 months to a year, This is when the cumulative effects really show. People who stick with daily bilberry consumption for 6 months or more often report that their glasses prescription hasn't needed to be strengthened, that they're functioning better visually than they were a year ago, that scheduled cataract surgeries have been postponed or cancelled. Will everyone experience these results? No. Some people have cataracts, driven primarily by genetics, or diabetes, or medication side effects, and bilberries alone won't override those factors. But for the majority of age-related cataracts, which are driven by oxidative stress and protein damage, bilberries provide exactly the compounds your eyes need to slow, halt, or even partially reverse the process. Now let me address the most common questions and mistakes I see people make. First, don't confuse bilberries with huckleberries or other similar-looking berries. Bilberries are specifically Vaccinium myrtillus, European blueberries. If you're buying powder or extract, check the label. It should say Vaccinium myrtillus. Some products are labeled as bilberry, but are actually just concentrated blueberry extract, not the same thing. Second, dosage matters. Most studies showing benefit used anywhere from 50 to 300 milligrams of anthocyanins per day. A tablespoon of quality bilberry powder typically provides around 100 to 150 milligrams. That's a good target dose. More isn't necessarily better, but you do need enough to reach therapeutic levels. Third, timing can enhance effectiveness. I take my bilberries in the morning, but some research suggests taking them with a meal that contains some fat improves absorption. Anthocyanins are somewhat fat-soluble. If you take your bilberry powder with breakfast, that includes eggs, nuts, or avocado, you'll absorb more of the active compounds. Fourth, bilberries work best as part of a comprehensive eye health strategy. Don't expect them to compensate for a terrible diet, chronic high blood sugar, smoking, or excessive UV exposure without sunglasses. Think of bilberries as a powerful tool in your toolkit, not a magic eraser for bad habits. Fifth, be patient. I've seen folks try bilberries for 2 weeks, see no change, and then just quit. That's like planting an apple tree and digging it up after 3 days because you don't see apples yet. Cellular repair is slow, cumulative. You're reversing years or decades of damage. Give it at least 8 to 12 weeks before judging results. And finally, this is not a replacement for medical care. If you have advanced cataracts that are significantly impacting your quality of life, you may still need surgery. Bilberries can slow progression, potentially delay surgery, and support your eye's natural repair mechanisms, but they're not a substitute for necessary medical intervention. What you've just learned in the last several minutes is information that could save you thousands of dollars in cataract surgery. Information that took me years to discover through trial, error, and a chance conversation with a European doctor. Information that the blueberry industry certainly isn't going to advertise because it would hurt their bottom line, their market share. This type of content doesn't get promoted by algorithms. It doesn't get funding from big agriculture or pharmaceutical companies. It exists because people like you and me believe that accurate science-based health information should be accessible to everyone, not buried under layers of marketing and commercial interests. If this video helped you understand why bilberries are superior to blueberries for eye health, if you're going to make the switch, if you believe others deserve to know this distinction, there's something simple you can do. Right below this video is the Super Thanks button with a heart icon. When you click Super Thanks, you're not just supporting me financially. You're sending a signal. You're telling the algorithm that this information matters, that it deserves to reach more people, Every super thanks helps push this video to someone else who's been eating blueberries hoping for results, unaware that a more potent option exists. You're building a community that values precision over popularity, that chooses the most effective natural options based on science, not marketing budgets. When you support this channel, you're helping create a free library of information that empowers people to make better choices for their health. So, if this resonated, if you learned something valuable, click that super thanks button. Be part of the movement toward honest, research-backed health information. Your eyes are worth it, and so is everyone else's. Now let me give you the complete protocol, step by step, so there's zero confusion about how to implement this. Step 1. Find a high-quality bilberry product. You have 3 main options: fresh or frozen whole bilberries if you can find them, bilberry powder, or bilberry extract capsules. For most people in North America, powder or capsules are the practical choices. When buying bilberry powder, look for these key indicators. The label should say Vaccinium myrtillus. It should specify anthocyanin content, ideally 25% or higher. It should be organic if possible. Since you're consuming this daily, and it should be from a reputable supplier that tests for contaminants. Good brands include Nordic Naturals, Jarrow Formulas, and several European brands available online. Expect to pay between $20 and $40 for a container that will last about a month. If you prefer capsules, look for bilberry extract standardized to 25% anthocyanins. A typical dose is 80 to 160 milligrams of extract, twice daily. That provides roughly 40 to 80 milligrams of pure anthocyanins per day, which is in the therapeutic range used in studies. Step 2. If using powder, take 1 tablespoon daily. I recommend morning consumption with breakfast. Mix it into water, juice, a smoothie, or yogurt. It dissolves reasonably well in liquid if you stir vigorously. The flavor is tart and slightly earthy. If it's too strong, you can mix it with blueberries or other berries to mellow the taste. If using capsules, follow the bottle instructions, but generally 1 or 2 capsules twice daily with food is standard. Step 3. Consume with some dietary fat to enhance absorption. Add your bilberry powder to a smoothie that contains nuts, seeds, or avocado, or take your capsules with a meal that includes healthy fats. This significantly improves the bioavailability of anthocyanins. Step 4. Be absolutely consistent every single day. No skipping weekends or when you travel. Your eyes don't take days off from oxidative stress. You shouldn't take days off from protection. Step 5. Track your baseline and progress. Before you start, write down your current vision challenges. How bad is your morning blur? How much do headlights bother you at night? Can you read fine print? How far can you see clearly? Then check again at 8 weeks and 12 weeks. Document the changes. Step 6. If possible, get an eye exam before starting and another at 3 to 6 months. Having objective measurements eliminates guesswork. Your ophthalmologist might be surprised. Mine was, but the slit lamp doesn't lie. Step 7. Combine bilberries with other eye-healthy habits. Wear sunglasses with UV protection. Manage your blood sugar if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic. Don't smoke. Eat a diet rich in leafy greens and omega-3 fats. Sleep 7 to 8 hours. Limit screen time when possible or use blue light filters. Bilberries are powerful, but they're most effective as part of a comprehensive strategy. Let me share a few more success stories because I want you to know this works for real people in real situations. Linda is 74. She'd been eating blueberries for 5 years after reading they were good for eyes. Her cataracts were still progressing, grade 2 moving toward grade 3. Her ophthalmologist scheduled her for surgery in 6 months. She heard about bilberries from a friend, switched from blueberries to bilberry powder, and started taking 1 tablespoon every morning in her oatmeal. 4 months later, her pre-op exam showed that her cataracts had actually regressed slightly. Not enough to cancel surgery entirely, but enough that her doctor agreed to postpone it for another year to see if the trend continued. That was 8 months ago. She's still postponing. Michael is 68. He's a pilot, and his vision is critical for his work. He failed a vision test due to early cataracts and was facing the end of his career. He couldn't risk surgery complications that might permanently affect his sight. He started taking bilberry extract, 2 capsules twice daily, along with strict UV protection and blood sugar management. 6 months later, he passed his vision recertification. His cataracts are still present but stable, and his functional vision improved enough to meet the requirements for, well, just living life to the fullest. Let's talk about Dorothy. Dorothy's 81 years young. She'd been told for years that her cataracts would eventually need surgery, but at her age, the risks were higher. Anesthesia complications, infection, slower healing. She wanted to avoid it as long as humanly possible. So Dorothy started drinking a bilberry smoothie every single morning. 1 tablespoon of powder, frozen berries, whatever's in season, a handful of spinach, almond milk, and a spoonful of almond butter for good measure. And she's been doing this religiously for 14 months now. The amazing part? Her cataracts haven't progressed one bit. Her ophthalmologist is, quite frankly, baffled. But definitely not complaining. She's maintained her independence, still drives during the day, still enjoys reading, and still tends to her beloved garden. Surgery is now officially off the table. These aren't miracles, folks. These are simply people who gave their eyes the specific nutrients they needed in the most bioavailable form, at therapeutic doses, consistently over time, and their bodies responded. The science explains why. So let me break down the specific mechanisms one more time, because understanding this makes you less likely to quit when you don't see instant results. It's about playing the long game. Cataracts form when the crystalline proteins in your lens undergo oxidative damage. Think of these proteins like tiny, incredibly precise machines that need to maintain a very specific shape to function correctly. Now, free radicals. Those are like rust. They corrode those delicate machines. And the machines stop working properly. They unfold, and they stick together. Not good. Your body does have systems to fight this, antioxidant enzymes, chaperone proteins. But sadly, after 60, these systems decline. The rust accumulates faster than it can be cleaned. It's like a losing battle. Now, anthocyanins from bilberries, they do several things. First, they neutralize those nasty free radicals directly. That's the antioxidant effect in action. Second, they stabilize the crystalline proteins, helping them maintain their correct shape even under oxidative stress. Think of them as tiny shields. They also reduce inflammation that accelerates protein damage, putting the brakes on the aging process. And finally, they improve microcirculation, bringing more nutrients and oxygen to the tissues around your lens. It's like a mini spa day for your eyes. Most importantly, they accumulate in eye tissues. When you consume anthocyanins regularly, they concentrate in your retina, your lens, your optic nerve. They're right where they need to be, working around the clock, like tireless little guardians. Blueberries provide some of this benefit, but because their anthocyanin concentration is 5 times lower, you'd need to eat 5 times as many blueberries to get the same effect. And honestly, that's impractical for most people. 5 bowls of blueberries a day is a lot of sugar, a lot of volume, and, let's face it, expensive. 1 tablespoon of bilberry powder is equivalent to roughly 2.5 to 3 bowls of fresh blueberries in terms of anthocyanin content. It's concentrated, efficient, and effective. Some people ask about other berries. What about goji berries? What about acai? What about aronia? They all have benefits for sure. Goji berries are the richest natural source of zeaxanthin, which is fantastic for macular health. A study from UC Davis in 2022 showed that 1 ounce of goji berries daily increased macular pigment density significantly. So, if you're concerned about macular degeneration, goji berries are an excellent addition to your diet. Aronia berries, also called chokeberries, have the highest polyphenol content of any berry tested in one study covering over 140 plants. They're incredible antioxidants. Recent research shows they can protect the retina from oxidative damage and may help prevent retinal degeneration. So, another great choice. But for cataracts specifically, for protecting and potentially reversing lens cloudiness, bilberries have the most direct evidence. The anthocyanin profile in bilberries seems uniquely suited to lens health. It's like they were made for the job. That said, you can combine them. I sometimes add a small amount of goji berry powder to my bilberry smoothie for the added zeaxanthin. Variety in antioxidants is generally beneficial. Just make sure bilberries are the foundation if cataracts are your primary concern. It's all about building a solid base. One last thing, you might wonder if you should stop eating blueberries entirely. Not necessarily. Blueberries are still healthy. They provide fiber, vitamin C, and other antioxidants. Plus, they're delicious. If you enjoy them, keep eating them. Just don't rely on them as your primary intervention for cataracts. They're a nice bonus, but not the main event. Think of it this way. Blueberries are good. Bilberries are better. If you have a limited budget or limited stomach capacity, prioritize bilberries. If you can afford and enjoy both, have both. But don't make the mistake I made for 3 long years. Thinking blueberries were sufficient when a more potent option existed. It's about making informed choices. Your eyes are irreplaceable. Your vision is tied to your independence, your safety, your quality of life. Driving, reading, recognizing faces, enjoying sunsets, all of it depends on clear lenses. Cataracts steal that from you slowly. So slowly you might not notice until it's severe, but you can fight back. You can give your eyes the tools to repair, to resist, to maintain clarity far longer than most people think possible. For less than the cost of a single eye doctor visit per month, you can provide your eyes with 5 times the protective anthocyanins that everyone recommends, in a form that's been used safely for centuries and studied extensively in modern research. It's a small investment for a huge potential payoff. The choice is yours. You can keep doing what everyone else does, eating blueberries and hoping for the best. Or you can make a simple switch that could change the trajectory of your eye health for years to come. It's time to take control of your vision. If you're going to try bilberries, I want to hear about it. Drop a comment below. Tell me your age, your current vision situation, what you're hoping to improve. I read every comment, and I'll respond to as many as I can over the next 48 hours. Let's build a community of people who refuse to accept that vision loss is inevitable. And if this video opened your eyes, literally or figuratively, share it. Send it to someone who's been struggling with cataracts, someone who's been eating blueberries thinking they're doing everything right, someone who deserves to know that a better option exists. Spread the word. One more time. Bilberries, Vaccinium myrtillus, 5 times the anthocyanins of blueberries. 1 tablespoon of powder or standardized extract daily, with food containing fat every single day, for at least 12 weeks before judging results. Combined with UV protection, good nutrition, and proper medical care. That's the protocol. That's the science. That's what worked for me and dozens of others I know. It might work for you too. This content is for educational purposes only. It is not medical advice and does not replace professional care. Always consult your ophthalmologist before making changes to your eye care routine. Do not stop prescribed treatments without medical supervision. Individual results may vary,